In all, some 20 people were involved in the writing and researching of these books, all focused on how industrialisation has affected the different aspects of our environment. The project was funded by the federal government and the ANU, and as well as documenting the problems and the benefits of our industrial and resource-rich area, it also gives recommendations to government for management of the region.
It's an independent study, it's a university study, it's an academic study, but what we're doing is looking at costs and benefits of developing a region and looking to see what governments might do in those range of environmental areas. We're not telling them to do it and governments don't take any notice of it, but we're hoping that they will.
The benefits of areas that have been highly industrialised like the Hunter are well known, with coal mines contributing towards civic buildings and smelters partly paying for bridges and roads, as well as the wages from industries that keep the economy buoyant. But Dr Day says there are also costs.
I mean, the costs are, water gets dirtier, we need more water. How much is it going to cost? If water is going to deteriorate in tracts of the river, or there's less of it, then what are the effects going to be on irrigators, people who drink water, bird life and so on? So that we're looking at those costs and benefits, and I think that's the important thing.
The 210 employees at the AIR plant walked off the job at 11 o'clock this morning after negotiations on the 3% superannuation claim broke down. The Brick, Tile and Pottery Union, whose members are involved in the strike, says it wants the superannuation claim paid separately to the guidelines set down in the two-tier wages policy. The company says it's been negotiating with the union for the last 6 months to have restrictive work practices at the plant lifted. The company says those work practices go against the guidelines set down in the new two-tier wages policy. The dispute has already gone before the Arbitration Commission. The AIR plant produces bricks and tiles used in industrial and blast furnaces. Since the walkout, a picket on the main gate has stopped trucks entering the plant. The striking employees will return to work on Monday night and meet on Tuesday morning to discuss the progress of talks in the dispute.
West Rutherford Community Group lobbied for the centre for some time. They were successful this year, and the Department of Housing bought and renovated this 4-bedroom cottage in Churchill Crescent as part of its tenant participation scheme. Today, official guests and local residents turned out for the opening ceremony. Eric Fitzgibbon, the federal member for Hunter, and Alan Walsh, the state member for Maitland, cut the ribbon and the centre was open for business. The cottage will be open 6 days a week and be used for such activities as a child play centre, youth group meetings and a family support centre. Today the children wasted no time in getting into the swing of things.
Leda Snell lives with her husband Tim on a property at Safala near Bathurst. She's 32 weeks pregnant. Her ordeal began at 5 a.m. yesterday when her waters broke prematurely and she was threatening to go into labour. After a trip to the Bathurst hospital, she was sent by ambulance on a 2.5-hour journey to Westmead Hospital in Sydney's West.
That would be right, but unfortunately the situation had changed by the time that I got there, and they didn't have anywhere to care for the baby either. And they found a bed or room for the baby up here. And I came by helicopter then from Westmead to here, and unfortunately my poor husband was dragging along behind in the car wondering what in the heck was going on, following me all over the countryside. So
when we got to Westmead, they said she was up at Newcastle, or gone to Newcastle. Well, you know, you sort of think, well, she was going to Westmead, and why to transfer there, you know? And then to have to drive, well, you know, we sort of did, I did 500 kilometres just driving.
New South Wales opposition leader Nick Greiner strongly attacked the government over the issue today, saying New South Wales Health Minister Peter Anderson should apologise to the woman for the suffering caused by the state's chaotic hospital system.
Well, that simply reflects the continuing chaos and unsatisfactory service in the New South Wales public hospital system. This is not the first time it's happened. I'm told by paediatricians that it happens across the system on a regular basis, as often as once a month, is one estimate I've received. Now, clearly it is simply not good enough.
Mr Anderson, who by coincidence was in Newcastle to officially open new operating theatres at the Royal, took time out of his planned itinerary to visit Mrs Snell. However, he strongly defended the current situation, saying the incident did not reflect badly on the New South Wales hospital system.
And in the normal course of events, we have enough level 3 neonatal intensive bed cots. Now, on this occasion, we didn't have one for Mrs Snell at Westmead. She was transported because she was assessed as not being critical and that it was safe, and later the same day 2 out-of-area admissions were made at Westmead.
Staff at the Royal Newcastle Hospital had eagerly waited while new operating theatres worth more than $6 million were constructed in the hospital's McCaffrey wing. Equipment was moved in last Monday and they were soon put to good use. But today was the official opening and a large crowd of politicians, doctors and other members of the public turned out to witness the occasion.
As you would expect, great pleasure to officially declare open Dr Ivan Charlotte Operating Theatre Complex at the Royal Newcastle Hospital.
And politicians, including Dr Blewett and Mr Anderson, donned gowns and went on a tour of the new suite. The theatres are designed to meet the hospital's immediate needs and will also be suitable for orthopaedic surgery. They are a particularly innovative design. Earlier in the day, Dr Blewett visited Newcastle University to hand over a cheque for $105,000. This was the first instalment of a federal government grant of $1.47 million. The money is for a public health course currently funded by the Rockefeller Foundation for students from developing countries. The grant will enable the course to be extended so Australian students, especially mid-career clinicians, can take part. The course particularly focuses on clinical epidemiology, the study of disease in groups, and biostatistics.
It'll give us a few extra staff positions and allow us to take up to 10 Australian doctors a year onto our courses and train them in this way.
In fact, they were swamped with applications. Only 22 were chosen and then only experienced riders. The lessons will continue for another 10 to 12 weeks and next term beginners could be allowed. 4 weeks into the course, Ride Bridge teacher Sherilyn Salters says the new sport has been an unqualified success.
They're enjoying it and I think they're getting a great deal of satisfaction out of improving their skills.
The Spanish owner and instructor of the Lourdes school, Jose Mendez, left Perth 8 months ago where he worked at El Caballo Blanco. With him he brought the mainstay of the Spanish style of riding, Andalusian horses.
I decided to come to Newcastle because in Perth I feel like I did just everything. I just did the performance, I got everything fixed, I showed the tourists what they want to see, so I thought it was time to pack up and come back to somewhere new, to start build something new again, to make a new life.
Although many of the students have their own horses and are being trained in the finer points of dressage, it's obvious that many of them would give almost anything to reach the standard of Mr Mendez. And as a further incentive, there's the centre's pride and joy, the 7-year-old purebred Andalusian stallion, Bel Tuoso. But in case you're thinking you'd like to own one, at the moment, Bel Tuoso is worth around $25,000. When he's fully trained, he, or one just like him, could set you back around $50,000.
Beautiful. The suit's arrival at Belmont Station is not only a first for the region, but the only one of its kind in New South Wales. With the help of the Belmont Lions Club, the American-designed outfit will replace the existing medical anti-shock trousers, or MAS suit as it's known, manufactured in both adult and child-size models. The Gladiator suit, in one adjustable size, will be used in emergencies to displace blood from the lower limbs to the body's vital organs, relieving strain on the heart and reducing the patient's shock state. Proving that it can fit any shape or form, President of the Belmont Lions Club Jack Felton helped to test the new model out. Also donated were 2 Medtronic cardiophones, which monitor heart rates. An alarm system indicates any changes in the patient's cardiac condition. Station Officer Peter Murray says in time, the effectiveness and efficiency of the new suit will outdate the older version.
The one suit will also order to 3 different sizes. In its normal stage, it's adult size. The leg sections and the abdominal section will fold down and so will suit children at the same time. So therefore we only carry 1 piece of gear instead of carrying 2 suits.
The suit is the first at the Belmont branch. Is it hoped that these will be distributed across the state?
Yes, that will be the objective. The present MAS suits, of course, won't be discarded, but as they become old or perhaps worn, they will be replaced by Gladiator suits, yes.
The reception given by Maitland's Mayor Peter Blackmore was a good opportunity to wish the Koalas from the Maitland area all the best on their trip to England and Scotland in 2 weeks' time. Like their Newcastle colleagues, the Maitland contingent has been working hard to raise money by painting house numbers on curbs and selling stickers. The band members and their supporters have already raised $450,000, but there's still a sizable shortfall that they're trying to reduce before they leave. An important part of the tour will be the messages of goodwill that band members will bring Newcastle's sister city, Newcastle upon Tyne, and Morpeth's namesake, which is located 25 kilometres from the English steel-making city. For many years there's been a close relationship between the 2 Morpeths. The English town's primary school once flew an Australian flag, but it was lost after the town was bombed during the Second World War. This flag will be given to the school as a replacement, and the band members will also give them this bicentenary flag so that our 200th birthday will be remembered by the English townsfolk of Morpeth. A Year 11 student at Katara High, Linda Ward, has been making headlines because of her skill in softball for 4 years. Linda's grateful that her inclusion in state and regional sides has allowed her to travel to most of the Australian capitals, not to mention the skills she's built up competing against the country's best. But the phone call this week to tell her she was in the Australian youth squad was the realisation of a long-held dream.
It was about 8 o'clock in the morning. I just got home from Brisbane 4 o'clock and I was really tired and I thought, oh, this is great, you know. I'm really thrilled to have the opportunity.
Linda says the toughest competition will no doubt be the Americans and the Japanese, but she believes the Australian squad will be in with a chance. The team will return on July 24th, but it won't all be hard work. The girls will also get a chance to sightsee and visit Los Angeles and the Grand Canyon. According to State Energy Minister Peter Cox, the Longwall mining equipment, which was installed in the Ilcom-owned Newstand colliery some 4 years ago, spearheaded this rise in production. Back in 1984, when the Longwall equipment was first used, coal production was 1.1 million tonnes. Now it's 2 million tonnes, and the estimated value of all the coal mined this financial year is a cool $50 million. The mine supplies coal to the ever-hungry Eraring power station. Longwall mining is considered to be at the forefront of coal technology, and it involves cutting a channel through the coal while holding up the ceiling of the underground mine. The technique was installed in the YE mine last year, and it's also being built into the Liddell colliery. But Mr Cox says it's not suitable for all Elcom mines.
The Visitors Centre was named after local Dr Temple Kiley, who has been a researcher with the Department of Agriculture for 40 years. The complex cost a total of $1.2 million and is ideally situated at Gosford, where 75% of nursery production in the state occurs within a 100-kilometre radius. Agriculture Minister Jack Hallam says the station not only helps in researching disease control, it also has a fruit and vegetable variety improvement program.
This area has a tremendous potential. It has great location for the domestic market. It's very close to the two great markets in New South Wales, Sydney, Flemington, and of course Newcastle. In the longer term, there are new crops being developed here which clearly have great export potential. There are very large plantings of kiwi fruit which are showing great promise, and they will contribute very significantly to our export earnings. And of course, in the small crops area, I suppose if you're looking at crops which are, as you say, a small farmer may take an interest in, things like snow peas have a very high return, very intensive, tomatoes perhaps, and a whole range of vegetables. But if anybody's really seriously interested in looking at the range of potential, they should contact our district horticulturalist, Mr Jim Murenson, and he'd survey their property and look at their capital and their experience and make professional recommendations. And that service, of course, from the department is free of charge, and our extension officers are backed up by major research components, such as the example here at this research station.
Yeah, that was my next question. How important is this centre for the development of small farming in the area?
Well, it's very important. We spend $40 million a year on research and development. We are currently breeding new varieties of tomatoes, for example, and in other areas we are developing native ornamental species such as the Geraldton wax, and we have scientists of international repute, men who are regarded as top of their field by any standard anywhere in the world, working here on disease control. For example, Mr Temple Kiley, whom that visitor centre was named after, developed here on this station a control for black spot in citrus, and that revolutionised this area for citrus production. Those sorts of achievements and developments are inestimable, and you couldn't cost them, but they are fundamental to our retaining our very high position in the field of agriculture.
Hello everyone, tonight I'll have a report on the announcement of the major sponsor for the Newcastle Knights Rugby League team. Local company Henny will be sponsoring the side for the next 3 years.
For all the news,
join us tonight
at 6.
Today,
It was drumsticks and champagne to celebrate today's announcement that Henny Penny will be a major sponsor of the Newcastle Knights for the next 3 seasons. For the Steggles family, the operators of the Henny Penny chain, the decision to sponsor the Knights was a natural one. The family have been in business in the Hunter region for more than 75 years.
It's a terrific thing that's happening for Newcastle, and there's a lot of community support, and we're looking forward to a long association with the football.
We now have one of the major criteria met, the only criteria that was outstanding, met a major sponsor. People who I spoke with in the street were very sceptical that we could get a local sponsor. We had a deadline of the 15th of June and we achieved that goal with 4 days to spare. So we're delighted that we've got a Newcastle sponsor for a Newcastle team, and we're now going more confidently into the open market to try and buy players that are going to give Newcastle a competitive team.
And for Knights coach Alan McMahon, plans are well underway for the 1988 assault on the Sydney competition.
We're in the marketplace negotiating with players. We're very particular about the players whom we're trying to bring to Newcastle. We're looking at a side generally. We're looking at the most important positions. We're looking at comparing that with the people in the current Newcastle competition, seeing if they're up to scratch. Do we have to strengthen certain areas within the team structures? We're looking at the under-21 competition now and making sure that that is where the future of the Knights will be ensured. You know, and general areas like that, Mark. Yeah.
A cross-section of nearly 1,400 households were asked to take part in the survey conducted by the Hunter Valley Research Foundation. And at a conference today, the board's manager of strategic planning, Dr. Eileen Doyle, released the results. The most positive response was that 81% of customers believe the Water Board's overall performance is excellent, good or fair.
It's shown up quite a few interesting things, but it's given us a lot of information that we didn't have before.
However, major areas of concern were the substantial capital expenditure on the new Dungog water treatment plant, reform of the rating system and pollution. 37% of customers agreed that in the treatment and disposal of sewage, the Water Board is increasing pollution, and 46% agreed that the Water Board is responsible for the majority of beach pollution. Mr Michel admitted that many of the results clearly indicated that the board had to improve its performance in some areas.
It did surprise us a bit to get the response that the public didn't understand the depths to which we're going to try and counteract some of the pollution problems.
Meanwhile, Lake Macquarie residents have been invited to express their opinions direct to the Public Works Department on the West Lake Sewerage Scheme. Thousands of booklets giving details of the scheme are being distributed to Lake Macquarie residents. The brochures have a tear-off page where residents can write their opinions and forward them to the Public Works Department for consideration by the Environmental Impact Study.